It's been a couple of weeks since I last recorded one of these little episodes, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One of them I want to touch on today. And so this is one of my sort of behind the scenes episodes. That is to tell you a little bit about how I handle my own health and situation. So I am well, it's fine, which is all good. However, I need to take medication on a regular basis. Thankfully, over time, this has got further and further spaced out, and it's now about every 8 weeks or so. So around that time, though, when I have to take this medication, which I have to self-inject, I know that I'm going to get side effects. And so this really is about giving yourself grace, because this is what I have to do every time now that I take this medication. When I was first put on it, I had to have it every single week. So really, I just went from 1 week to the next feeling pretty rubbish. As the time has gone by and the time between my doses has lengthened because it is managing my condition, so that's great. It means now that though there's a marked difference between the weeks when I don't take it and the weeks when I do. And I now have to plan for this, because when I have taken it, it just has an impact on so many areas of my well-being. It affects my sleep. My sleep becomes broken and restless. It affects my mood, which becomes low and confused. It affects my energy levels. I become fatigued. It affects my concentration. Can't focus on anything detailed or requiring any significant decision making, really. And the effect lasts for really about 3 to 4 days and then slowly wears its way off again. Now I literally schedule ahead in my calendar. But also I wanted to touch on, so that's happened for me in the last couple of weeks amongst some family things. And one of my promises to myself about my work has been to ensure that my work supports my health and can flex around my health needs. So that is one of the things that I do, is take time out, reduce my hours for work, and actually take a couple of days off when I know that the effects of the medication are going to be most significant. So that is what I've done on this occasion. I want us to touch on how to try and plan in some self-care. And I've been thinking about the wording, and this wording of grace, because it's a sense of giving yourself permission, accepting how things are going to be. Grace is a state of acceptance and receiving and space without necessarily having earned it. And I think that's really important in a hustle culture where we think that we can only rest if we have worked really, really hard up to that. Now, the reality is that most of you will work hard in the weeks when you are able to. But at this time, if you've got a fluctuating condition, as in the symptoms fluctuate, or you have medication that have side effects, the reality is you just can't do a good job. And being kind to yourself, I'm going to do a series actually on some of these phrases, because I think it's really interesting. Things that people say to us, oh, be kind to yourself, or don't be so hard on yourself, or be brave, or you are brave. All those things are kind of interesting comments, but we'll come to them another time. This is about this time of accepting that you are not able to do everything that you are able to do the rest of the time. And so I just want to give you an idea of how that looks for me. And it's different for everybody, so feel free to take anything that helps, give it a try. If it doesn't work for you, try something else. It's fine. So I plan time off either side of the day that I have to take the medication. I can flex the timing a little bit, so depending on what's in the diary, what else I might have on, I can flex it around a little. But on the whole, I will plan to do not a lot, on the basis that actually my primary needs during this time are to rest my body. The physiology needs rest, to sleep, be able to rest or sleep when I need to, and not having to put it off because I'm at some event or have some commitment or have appointments with people. So needing to be able to respond fairly quickly when my body and my mind tells me that they're ready to shut down. So I generally schedule very little. I will then schedule things that I find restful and restorative. So that for me might be long walks, but they're usually really slow. They're slow compared to my normal walks. So that's why they're long. They're not necessarily any further. They just take me longer as I mooch along. And reading. So for me, reading a novel, that's something that doesn't require too much brain power. That is good. I can't read anything that requires me to follow it in depth or take any action or remember it or to learn something actively. So it has to be quite passive reading. The same with any TV. I mean, I like a good film, but it needs to be something that is fairly innocuous, I guess, not too stressful. I do quite a bit of just journaling and relaxation. And then food is the other thing that I plan to do my best. I do my best to eat healthily, to have good choices in my cupboards and the fridge, because I also know that if I haven't, then I will go on the hunt for mainly sugar in my case. And I have worked out over time the link, and that actually the sugar is around needing to, or feeling the need to boost my energy. And it's often if I'm not able to rest that I will seek out sugar in order to boost my metabolism for short periods so that I can keep going through whatever it is that is in my way of getting a rest. So, and the goal of these times is to not schedule anything that would require me to push through. Therefore, when I recognize that, I can actually go and rest and recover rather than reaching for unhealthy food to try and stimulate my brain and body to keep going. So one of the other things that I just wanted to touch on here, which I do now expect it, but it's still quite hard to handle, is like it's like a rumination that goes on just below the surface in my thinking. So when I'm well, I'm quite objective, quite logical, quite tuned in to what my needs are. And as the medication takes effect, it feels as if I'm getting dragged underwater. And then there becomes a place of cognitive confusion where things sort of dart in and out of my mind, things that probably aren't a problem, but suddenly can feel like a huge big problem because you're in this weird in-between subconscious place. And the difficulty with it is that the brain is trying to sort it out. It's trying to solve it, but it's solving it in this half in, half out, half asleep place. I'm sure a sleep expert would tell me what it is. It's like that place where you know you're sleepy and you know you're asleep, but or you're nearly asleep, but there's something going round and round in your head. So I'm maybe not explaining it very well, but if you get it, you'll know what I mean. And your brain is trying to deal and sort out some problem, which may or may not be real. And it's trying to do this in the space, somewhere in the space between you being fully conscious and being knocked out and asleep. And I find this really exhausting. It makes sleep quite restless. I might have to get up and kind of reset myself. I have to do some actual relaxation, like physiological relaxation. Might have to read to take my mind off it. But actually, one of the most important things that I have to do in that moment is give myself permission to not have to solve it right now, to put the thing aside, whatever it is that is bothering my mind, to put it aside, to be dealt with later, recognizing that I am not in the right place, in the right space to deal with whatever my brain thinks is the problem right now. to be able to identify that it's not urgent, and it rarely is, because it's the subconscious messing about, and to be able to put it to one side, whether that's writing it down and coming back to it another time, or whether it's simply saying, I'm not going to deal with that right now. We can look at that in 3 days' time. So that's my kind of personal experience of dealing with medication side effects. In the early days, actually, just to add, in the early days, I did go and seek out more information about the medication that I'm on, because that really helped me understand the impact that it had on me, and that it wasn't me not coping. Because I think to start with, you think that what's wrong with me? I'm fine the rest of the time, and then I take this stuff and I can't cope, and you think it's you. And the reality was, when I went and did the research, found directly that the medication that I am on, which in my case is an antiviral, so it's given in order to reduce overproduction of blood cells. And basically it treats the condition as if it was a virus, and it inhibits the production of these cells. So it responds to the condition as if I've got an infection going on. So if you think about it in that sense, it is aiming to fight the infection. And I use that word deliberately this time because sometimes I don't really like using that word because it's very adversarial with ourselves. But in this case, this is what the medication is trying to do. It's trying to fight off an infection, which actually isn't really there, but it has the desired effect on the condition. And by doing that, what it's actually using is stimulating hormones within the body to increase cortisol and adrenaline. And these are the stress hormones and the fight and flight hormones that take us out of danger. So it increases that, and it decreases the dopamines in the system, which are the feel-good hormones, serotonin, stuff like that, which actually makes you feel better. So once I understood that these were the impacts of it, it was much easier to realise that what was going on was a chemical and physiological effect within my system, that it would pass, and that given the right time and care over the few days where it was having the most impact, where it was introduced into my body, that I would be able to come out the other side. And now, in those moments where I feel I'm getting dragged under and overwhelmed, I will pull back and remind myself this is the effects of the medication, and this too will pass. So sometimes it's worth digging around, get a little bit more information about what you've been given, if it's a drug side effect. The nature of many of these drugs is that, they do have some element of strong chemicals or causing your body to create strong chemicals, which can really affect how you feel. So anyway, I shall stop rambling on. I hope that's been a helpful insight for some people. And so you're not alone if you're suffering with side effects from medications. If your condition fluctuates, the same rule applies. Give yourself some grace when you know that you cannot perform at your best, even if you'd like to be able to. Where you can, plan ahead for it so that you can schedule accordingly, which makes it easier to give yourself the time and space that you need to deal with the symptoms that you're having. So if you would like any more personal help and support, then please do get in touch. You can visit my website, which is returntoworkmentor.co.uk, where I've got a range of services, starting from online self-directed courses all the way through to one-to-ones with me, which can be as simple as a one-to-one, a strategy session, or crisis management session, all the way through to regular mentoring. And just let me know if you need any help.